Alright, so today is the evening of day 51. Really late in the evening. It's almost coming up on midnight here pretty soon. Been raising up these catfish for 51 days. I bought them 51 days ago. When I bought them, they were about 2 inches at about 2 weeks old. Look at how big they are. Look at how big he is coming up from underneath that filter. That's pretty crazy. Alright, so I'm going to take this filter out. Let's see if we get a close-up of this guy up on the filter. Wow, look at how big he is. He's a monster. That is pretty amazing. The last time I measured him, they were both just over 5 inches. So they've increased from the size of a tadpole. They're like super tiny when I got them. They looked so small putting them in this hot tub, and now they are really big. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is clean up this. Looks like I missed a lot of food in the last cleanup. All right, after the last feeding. It's funny, I don't know where this food comes from. Maybe it's up on the shelf or something, up on the bench of the hot tub catfish pond. Oh, I forgot to clean up the around the edge of the hot tub. I just leaned into a big puddle. That's quite a bit that I missed in the last one. A lot of little food. It's kind of interesting. If I miss a lot of food, it tends to seems like it foams a little bit more on the top. When I first set this hot tub catfish pond up, it was foaming a lot. We're getting a lot of foam on the top, and now we're hardly getting any. It looks like it's pretty well kind of worked its way in as far as, you know, establishing the biological cycle and everything. All right, so today I'm going to feed them their favorite, hands down their favorite. This is beef liver. They absolutely love the beef liver. And in all my videos up until today, I've been pretty much doing underwater videos, putting this camera in an underwater housing and giving you some up close videos of these catfish underwater. It's been coming out really good. I'm actually really surprised. And then on my last video, I broke my underwater housing. I can kind of show you what it looks like. I actually have this big selfie stick. It's been working fantastic. And this, I actually bought this over on Amazon, this little case. I'm actually using a DJI Osmo Action Cam. And the top bracket broke and the little latch fell off, so I can't seal it up to make it waterproof. And I ordered one, and it's not going to get here for 3 days. I called all over the place. I was calling Best Buy and some of the DJI drone stores and Walmart. I called all these places, and nobody had one locally. I don't know what's going on with that. They were all out of stock. Best Buy said they were like 2 weeks out as far as getting them. So I just ordered one on Amazon, pretty much exactly the same one that I ordered here. This one's really nice, other than the fact that it broke, which is kind of a bummer. So yeah, no underwater video, but you can see they're definitely getting pretty big, and they're eating a lot more food lately. Can't believe how much they're eating. Kind of one of my biggest concerns is them overeating. I've actually seen I've seen some videos where people actually overfeed them to the point where their stomach will literally explode. The food will like rip through their stomach. They just have incredible appetites. It seems like they just don't know when to stop eating, and they'll just eat more and more and more until until it kills them, which is kind of crazy. I've seen some where they'll eat a fish where it kind of chokes them out too. They'll eat a fish that's too big, and it'll like stop their breathing in their gills because they have a big fish they're trying to eat, which is kind of crazy. So that's one thing you have to really watch on these catfish, is that you don't overfeed them. So I mean, it's kind of interesting when I feed them. What they'll do is they'll eat a bunch and then they'll just kind of go in their corners and sit there for like a minute, and they'll digest their food. And then after a couple minutes, you can see that guy over there. He just kind of sits in his corner and digests his food, completely motionless. And then after he kind of chokes it down and his stomach expands a little bit, then he'll come back and look for more food. So what I'll do is I'll just feed just a little bit until they kind of really start mellowing out, and you can definitely tell their stomach's getting bulged. And then I'll go back in there with a net before they can eat too much, and I'll kind of fish out all the old food. But you can see this guy's definitely looking for more. And I named them the Orca twins. You can't really tell one from the other. The weird thing is one was darker and one was lighter, and then I realized that they were kind of changing color, so you couldn't really tell which one was which, because the light one would turn dark and the dark one would turn light. Now they're almost exactly the same color, but you can definitely tell this one down here is the dominant one. He kind of pushes the other one around, so, and it seems like, I don't know, it's when this one's up front, it seems like he's a little bigger until he gets next to the other one. And then, oh, I just put the camera in the water. Yeah, the problem with this camera is, this camera technically is waterproof, but there's a little waterproof door on the side that I actually removed so I can run this in my motorcycle helmet, and I don't know where that little door is for the side of the camera. And a lot of people say not to trust the waterproof door. And if you submerge this camera and it leaks in the door, then you pretty much ruin your camera. So I guess for the next 3 videos, we won't have any underwater video. I don't want to risk ruining this. This is like a $300 camera. Looks like we got a little bit of water on the lens, so we're kind of blurring out here. All right, so that's pretty much it. Evening of day 51. I'll give you an update tomorrow when we feed these guys, and then spin out this video. I do 2 feedings every single day. All right, thanks for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow. All right, so today's the morning of day 52. 52 days with these 2 little red-tailed catfish. And I still don't have my underwater housing, so no underwater video today. So we'll get as close as we can without hitting the water with the lens. Alright, so let's take a look at these guys here. Getting pretty big. The bigger these guys get, the smaller this hot tub looks. Look at how big they are. Pretty amazing. Yeah, at some point, they're definitely going to be too big for this hot tub. We'll have to figure out where we're going to put these guys. We'll have to move up to a bigger enclosure. I think this channel will be a little bit more interesting once they get really big. And then, a lot of people have a lot of questions. How big are they at a certain age? And you look at one that's like 2 feet long, and you want to know kind of the history of the growth of these guys. That's kind of the idea of this whole channel. So you can kind of have a record every day how they grow bigger and bigger. But look at, he's already looking for food. He's like expecting it. Pull the filter out, turn the lights on, and he's like, where's my food? That's like their trigger to eat, which is pretty interesting. All right, so today we're doing frozen shrimp tails. Thawed out, I chopped them up with my knife here. So we'll give them a little... it's always kind of hard to gauge how much to feed them without overfeeding them. It's kind of the tricky part with these catfish, because you want to feed them enough, but you don't want to feed them too much to where they get too bloated. And look, the food's kind of slowly flowing down, and they're still kind of like it's the other thing that's kind of interesting too is that the food is like right above them, but they don't come up to eat the food. So they, sometimes they'll kind of lift their head up a little bit, but they actually won't come up and eat, higher up in the column of water right above them. So they're really definitely only bottom feeders. So if you're actually like fishing for catfish, I would say if you have anything that's floating up off the bottom, I'm thinking more than likely you won't catch a catfish. You know, like when you're fishing for trout and you kind of use the power bait and it floats up a little bit, which is kind of interesting. I thought catfish would come up a little bit, you know, especially if you have food like an inch or two above the bottom. It seems like they're just completely ignoring it. They're just hitting the food on the bottom. So the other kind of interesting thing, we have a dark one and a light one, and I saw the light one nipping at the dark one, which is completely opposite. Usually the dark one's always after the light one. The other thing that's interesting is it seems like I need more and more food every day. Kind of gauging how much food to feed these guys. It seems like every day it takes a little bit more food to feed these guys. Look at how big they are. That's pretty amazing. Alright, so that is day 52. 2 more days before I get my new underwater housing from Amazon. So yeah, not quite as exciting, just kind of watching them from the top. It's a little bit more exciting getting close up and personal with the underwater video. But yeah, they're doing great. All right, that's pretty much it. All right, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.